In this tutorial, we'll learn how to create new and edit existing content pages. Content pages are general pages on your website such as contact us, about us, terms and conditions, and things like that. There are a range of pre-configured content pages that you're able to modify as required. Alternatively, you can create new content pages from scratch. Essentially, any additional content you want to create and provide to your customers, you can do so using content pages. A content page is essentially a blank canvas for you to either use our rich editor or insert HTML to create custom static page of your choosing. As of one of the latest updates, we also have the ability to use the content template functionality as well on our content pages. To begin, we'll navigate to our content pages section of our Infigo admin area. So we start off with our content management section, and then about halfway down the list, we have content pages. So here we can see a number of pre-configured content pages. Each of these can be completely customized by the administrator. They're not fixed. You can completely change them. In addition, you have got the ability to add a new content page by clicking on this button on the top right. In this example, we'll edit one of the existing content pages. You do this just by clicking Edit next to the row of interest. So I'm going to do this next to our About Us page. So this screen allows for complete configuration of the selected content page. So in addition to the choice of editor types, which we'll get onto in a moment, other available options include the ability to password protect a certain page, so you won't be able to access it on the storefront without a password, inclusion on the sitemap, whether or not the page is accessible on a closed store, and you've also got the page URL in there as well, which is quite important. So coming to this body editor type and the different options available here, I'm going to start off by making sure this is on Content Template Editor, which it is by default. The content template functionality is fairly recent in Infigo, and it eliminates the need for any HTML knowledge by replacing the standard CodeMirror editor and the rich editor with a series of simple inputs and controls to create the content that works for you using a structure of easy-to-use building blocks. If I switch to the CodeMirror editor, which many of you may be familiar with, so this will switch the content input to a HTML editor style. Here you can write your own HTML code to populate the content page, or you can paste code from an alternate source. And finally, we have the rich editor. So this is a WYSIWYG editor, suitable to be thought of as kind of a word processor style editor where you can directly input and format your content. However, you are a bit more limited here than you would be with the other two methods. If you want to see how this content page appears on the front end, you can just click on the URL. And our default content template already provides page content that we can use, we can adjust, or we can remove. The page content is constructed using a series of building blocks added under the sections area when we're using our content template editor. So in our example here, we can see that we've got 3 blocks that are currently specified, and each of those have other blocks contained within them. So you can have nested blocks to help build out your complete range of content. Just to give you a feel for what these are actually covering, so we've got one which is the banner, one which is the title section, and one which is the staff details. We can see there we've got our banner, our title section, and our staff details. You can expand any of these blocks by just clicking on the expand icon. And then you'll see blocks that are contained within that initial block. There are likely to be several levels of nested blocks to cover all the content within the page. So for example, if I start scrolling down into our staff details, I then have a couple of different rows as an introduction. So if I go to our second row, you'll see then that I have 4 columns, and each of those has its own image, title, subtitle, and paragraph. So now we're drilling down to the level of the staff details section. We have our introduction and our 2 rows, and then we're focusing on the second row, and we'll focus on column number 4. So that's this section here. And you can see that that column number 4 also has an image, a title, a subtitle, and a paragraph. So image, title, subtitle, and paragraph. So although we can completely modify this if we like, we can delete all of these sections and recreate them. If it's in a format that's already relatively suitable for us, we could just edit what has already been generated. So for example, if I wanted to update one of the images here, I could just go into that particular block. That's showing me the current image, and then I can upload a new one. The subsequent blocks are then title, subtitle, and paragraph, and I can fill in the relevant details here. And again, we could add some additional content to here if we needed to as well. So let's say, for example, we wanted to add a button which links to their social media page or something like that. You could say add content, and then you get the ability to add any additional content blocks you want to this particular section. Just be aware that if you only add it to one of the content blocks like this, so if I add an item here, for example, it might mess up the formatting for the rest. So you want to be careful that you keep all of them consistent. So what you'll notice with the image as well, so if I look at one of the other blocks, that image has a suggested size, and you'll find that throughout the default template, wherever there's an image displayed, more often than not, it will have a suggested image size. You can upload images of different sizes. You're not limited to just that. But if you want to keep the formatting nice and tidy, the same as we've got it in our default, then those are the recommended resolutions to use for your images. Okay, so we should note that many of the blocks have unique configuration settings. So if a block at any level shows this symbol, so the little settings gear icon, then it means it has additional configuration settings available. And this could include information such as styling options, it could be a text alignment, could be the size of various bits of content, position, colors, and so much more. So for example, if I go on our row here, let's see what we've got on our row of staff. In that one, it's just a simple column name, so nice and easy. If I go to our full section, you'll see I've got a lot more settings. So things such as text color, whether or not we've got a background color, whether or not we've got alignment of text, and that will apply to everything that is within that section. So let's say, for example, I want to change this to a different color. So I'll change it to my secondary color just so we can actually definitely see a change. So I'm not saying this will be fantastically appealing to the eye. I'll click save and continue, and then let's take a look on our storefront. So what we can see is that that entire section has now been updated with that new color. So all of the content contained within that section has been updated to a match. And our row 2, column 4 section has also been updated with those new bits of content. We also have the ability to add completely new sections if we want to do so. And then, of course, you can add nested blocks within that new section. So it's all about where you add the content. So if I click this Add Content button here, which is contained on the top level of our section, that's going to create a new section for us. And we can create a section, we can create a slider, or a couple of featured content types. So if I go for a section, for example, that creates a brand new section. I then get an additional Add Content button, which allows me to add content within that particular section. So if I say one column, that gives me a new content block where again I can add nested information. I'll save that and take a look at our storefront again. And we see our new content is now available in a new section.